We appreciate the turnout. Okay, first thing on the agenda is Russell King is gonna lead us in the invocation. Russell Ragsdale.
Dear Father, I just come to you thankful today for the blessings of life. Thank you, dear Father, for the opportunity to be here, and I pray that all things would be done according to your will and in an orderly fashion today, dear Father. I pray that you give us a spirit of unity and of peace and of one mind. This I pray in thy name. Amen.
Amen. We're gonna stand, and Mark has informed us there's a flag on the door. Okay. Mark, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Play ball.
Next thing on the agenda is to approve the minutes of our April 22nd meeting.
Motion to approve.
I have a second, have that?
Second, you need them read?
Would y'all like us to read the minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
The Benton County Election Commission met on April 22nd, 2021, 5 p.m. at the Benton County Courthouse. Present were Janet Higdon, Debbie Kyle, and Russell Ragsdale. Prayer was led by Russell Ragsdale, and the Pledge of Allegiance was led by Doyle Williams. Janet Higdon nominated Debbie Kyle to be the chairman. Ragsdale seconded. Roll call vote. Higdon yes, Ragsdale yes, Kyle passed. Motion by Russell Ragsdale to broadcast the meeting on social media, seconded by Higdon. Roll call vote. Higdon yes, Kyle yes, Ragsdale yes. Motion passed. Motion by Higdon to limit comments from the public to 5 minutes per individual, seconded by Ragsdale. Roll call vote. Higdon yes, Ragsdale yes, Kyle yes. Motion passed. The floor was open for public comment. Addressing the commission were Bruce Griffey, Matt Jones, Ben Thompson, David Johnson, Randy Shannon, Dan Miller, James Peach, Ward Plant, Susan Roth, Richard Hannon, Dwayne Fowler, Dan Myers, John Smotherman, Rochelle Hill, Arthur Carpenter, Adam Reed, Bertland Mansfield, Bob Myers, Shay Hardis, Trevor Busby, Barry Peterson, Debbie Bain, Keith Arnold, Mike Holliday, Gary Key, Chris Herron, and Lori Ward. And I hope I didn't miss anybody. I tried hard to make sure I got them all. Motion to adjourn by Ragsdale, seconded by Janet Higdon. Roll call vote. Ragsdale yes, Higdon yes, Kyle yes. Meeting was adjourned.
A motion to approve the minutes.
We're going to approve it.
Well, you made the motion.
Second.
Who's seconded?
All right.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the administrator's report.
Well, you mean the public forum?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I missed one. The public forum, I'm sorry.
I have something to submit to you guys. In less than a week's time, the people of Benton County have come together, and we have over 900 signatures, with more coming, to go to Nashville. And I just wanted you guys to see that. Well, I'll read it real quick. It's real simple. It says, be it known that we, the citizens of Benton County, Tennessee, hereby declare by signature of this petition that we support Mark Ward as Administrator of Elections in the Benton County, Tennessee, and future petition all involved parties to affirm that Mark Ward should remain as Benton County Administrator of Elections. Oh.
How many signatures did you say?
We have over 900 and counting.
Okay.
And we're gonna keep getting them until Nashville. So I figure we will probably have somewhere around 2,000, 2,500 by the hearing date in Nashville.
Okay, are you wanting to give that to us?
Yeah, these are just copies. We have the original.
Okay. So this is our
Yes, that's y'all's copy.
Thank you, Christy. Hi Cindy, how are you?
Cindy Wheatley, 3rd District, former Secretary on the Election Commission. And I have a couple of questions. First one being, is this meeting that's called tonight even valid? On this board, there's supposed to be a majority and a minority party represented. The majority being the Republicans, which makes the administrator a Republican. On the Democratic side, the secretary is supposed to be Democrat. is supposed to be a Democrat. When you fill out those forms and you review the new voter registrations tonight, when you fill out their form, there will not be 2 Democrat signatures on there. So does that even make those valid?
I called the state because I had those same concerns, and they told me that they still have not been able to fill the seats for the Democrats.
Correct.
And I said, what do we do then? And they said 3 constitutes a quorum, and they told me that the quarterly report had to be in. And I said, but the 2 Democrats will not be signing it, certifying that those results are correct.
Correct.
And I was told to go ahead and do it.
Well,
So,
there's a possibility that later on down the road, I would hate to see those people that have registered to be challenged.
I understand, and I agree completely.
Okay. Second question is talking to our local party leader this morning. Benton County is due for restructuring, for redistricting. It's coming up this year, pretty soon as a matter of fact. So what will be the process and the date when all this starts, and can you share that with everybody that's here so they'll know what's happening this year?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I haven't heard it, and I haven't been going to commission meetings, so I don't know. And that hasn't been said to me by anybody.
I'll address that in my forum when you're asking me questions.
Okay. All right.
So you want to know how it would,
When the process is gonna start, what the process is, so everybody that doesn't know redistricting, how complicated that is.
Now, I remember we had 12 districts, and then we went down to 6.
Yes, ma'am. So it's gonna be another restructure. Okay.
All right, thanks,
Thank you.
Cindy. Anyone else?
Would you invite, Representative Griffith to come back here as an official for that?
Is that okay with the
Mark,
board?
That's
your-
normal, yes.
Okay. Thank you, thanks for having me, appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Hey Bruce. Hey.
You got anything you want to say?
Anybody else would like to speak?
If I may,
Yes, Mr. Rick.
thank you. I appreciate all of you all showing up and being here and supporting, your election commission and, your administrator of elections. I'm honored and privileged to represent all of you all. I hope, this kind of support will indicate to our election commissioners that, we love Mark Ward and would like him to retain his position, continue on with serving the county and doing the great job that we feel like he's done. So, and I want to thank all of our election commissioners for their service and agreement to try to service everyone in Benton County. We appreciate that. So thank you all for willing to serve. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
My name is Randy Shannon. I have the privilege of serving as Mr. Ward's attorney in the upcoming hearing, and I'm sure that's a point of concern for everybody. I feel that we, without getting into the particulars of it, I think we have a very good defense to the every allegation that was alleged in the complaint filed against Mr. Ward. There were, and I think that we have a good chance of we certainly have good information going forward, and I feel good about the possibility of a affirmative outcome, but laws like elections, you just never know. But anyway, I just want to give you an update on that, and that we look forward to having our day at the hearing in June coming up.
That's June the 14th, right?
Yes, yes it is.
Thank you, Randy. Anybody else? Nobody else? Okay, we're gonna proceed with the administrator's report.
Print y'all off a copy of the upcoming election schedule. As you can see, it starts pretty early. It starts in August of this year for the 3 elections next year. I don't have copies for everybody, but everybody that's thinking about running for office or want to know when the elections are, y'all can pass those around if you'd like.
Is this the same one you passed out at the Republican meeting?
I don't know. Yes, yes it is. this will be the next thing we're talking about. This is from Jason Mumpower about redistricting and reapportionment. Every 10 years in the state of Tennessee, we have to reapportion all of our voting districts to have about the same amount of people in each district. And in doing that, it falls on the counties to do the county districts and the school board districts. We can't start on it until the Senate confirms their districts to us. So normally we're doing that now, but we're not going to get that from the Senate until sometime in September. So how that works is, I'm the one that did the redistricting in 2010, and you form a board of people in the county. Usually have a county commissioner to report back to the county commission, and we all work on it. I go out and do all the legwork and make sure where the roads are and where the district boundaries are. You can't redistrict around a commissioner, county commissioner, or a school board member. So we just work with the state on that, but the work all comes down to me normally doing all that. It's a pretty big deal. It takes a lot of time. But we don't know what that's going to entail this time until the Senate gives us the Senate and House districts. Mr. Griffey could probably give me a little more information on what's going on with the Senate. I know you're up there in the House. They're changing our districts, aren't they?
The census comes out every 10 years. They were a little delayed this year, but due to COVID, it's my understanding they'll have the final data to the House and Senate around July, 1st of July. Leadership will meet with leadership and look at where the population shifts are. West Tennessee is going to experience we've lost population compared to the population growth in Middle Tennessee and East Tennessee. Every House and Senate district has to be about the same, plus or minus a little bit. Houses were at about 65,000 people per House district, so the 75th district, which I represent, has about 65,000 people total population in it. Because there's been a huge population growth in Middle Tennessee, the district lines are probably going to have to shift towards Middle Tennessee because there's been huge growth in Williamson, Murray, Rutherford counties. West Tennessee may actually lose 2 House representatives, maybe one from the north portion and maybe one from the south portion. From a political standpoint, I've been arguing about this, pushing this. I think we need more economic incentive to relocate businesses and manufacturing jobs back to the rural communities throughout the state of Tennessee, not just West Tennessee, but every tier 3, tier 4 county, which are the economically disadvantaged counties compared to some of the other counties that have seen lots of growth. So I've actually proposed a couple legislative packages to try to double the incentive for businesses to relocate to a tier 3, tier 4 county, increase the tax incentives from a franchise excise tax for them to relocate to a tier 3, tier 4 county. That would apply throughout the state. So that's coming about July. Leadership will meet and start talking with members. If membership are going to retire or not run, that may impact how they draw the lines. Probably about September, they'll have general guidelines, plans, maybe some preliminary things drawn, talk to membership, finalize those probably September, October, and then the legislature will come back in January and probably vote on that and where the lines are finalized. There could be some challenges to those, legal challenges, depending on the Voting Rights Act and stuff like that. But that remains to be seen. The legislature did pass legislation this past year that says we're going to form a sort of super chancery court. It'll be made up of a judge from East, Middle, and West Tennessee to hear redistricting challenges. That court would hear and make the initial decision, and if someone appeals, they would go up to the normal civil court of appeals, and then the Supreme Court if they want to do that. So that's the gist of what's going on with that. And if anyone has any particular questions or anything I can answer, please contact my office, me, Charlie Cooper, who works in my office from Benton County. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions for everyone. So thanks for letting me speak.
Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate that. Very
So we
informational.
really don't know exactly how it's going to affect.
Well, I can just tell you how it's going to affect us. Anytime you make a change to a Senate, House district, either one, everybody affected by that change has to get a new voter card.
So we have 10 to 12,000 voters in Benton County. They have to receive a letter and a new voter card. So that's where the work actually comes in for this office. We have to set our districts, and in Benton County, the Big Sandy district is growing, the 6th district. And so the last time we had to move the landmass for the 2nd and the 4th to encompass enough to make them all equal. We try to keep around 1,800 to 2,000, and there's a percentage that you can have between them all, and that's where I work to make sure that's right, and then the board looks at it and approves it, the local board, and then we send it to the state for approval. But any person that gets a district change, we have to mail them that whole street a new card. But when we're talking about a Senate or House change, it could affect the whole county, or at least half or more of the county. So we're looking at a lot of man hours, mailing out the letters and cards and putting the notices in the paper to let everybody know what's going on, because it changes where they vote a lot of times. So that's what we're looking at, and we can't start on it till we get the information from them. Normally we'll have it done, and you can see it's coming up late in the year. We're already into the May primary election stuff by the time this is going to happen this time, so it's going to be a crunch to get it all done. And
how long did it take you approximately? Did we have this delay last time when you were here?
no, it wasn't a delay last time. It takes about 2 months to do it.
2 months.
COVID delayed all the
On
census
county
data collection.
Yeah, on the county part. It takes, what, they've been working on it 6 months, haven't they?
At least.
On the Senate side. But then when we get their information, it'll take us a couple of months to do the county side.
Mark, this says that
The data
they
should come
recommend
in
for local
July.
officials to go ahead and begin to establish a redistricting committee. When do we
Mhm.
need to approach that?
Whenever y'all want to.
Well, we're looking for guidance for you that's been here before, so, you know, we're learning. So
I don't see any need to do that for another month or two.
Okay. What are our county private acts?
You'll have to ask the county attorney that. We operate under the Private Act of 1939, I believe. We have certain parts of, she probably knows more than I do. She's been on the county.
1939 and 1981, some
Yeah.
parts of it is 81.
Well, some of the budget's 81, I think, but the Private Act for Benton County is 1939.
Secretary of State may have a running list of all the private acts
Yeah.
affecting Benton County as well.
And you
And if
can
y'all
get
need
it
help
on-
getting any of that, let me
You
know.
can get it on the state website. It tells you each county, all 95 counties, what private act they're under.
And I will tell you, if you call CTAS and ask them, they don't look up your private act, they just tell you what the average in the state is. So always tell them that you're operating under the Private Act of 39, because the laws are completely different on most things. And that's why we've continued to run under that act. It holds the people that are in charge accountable more than the ones that the other counties have adopted since then.
And at the request of Benton County this past legislative session, the mayor and county commission actually passed a resolution. They wanted the ability to require people that are doing severance taxes, responsible for severance taxes, to make that information available to the county commissioner or the county clerk, to make sure the appropriate amount of taxes are being withheld and accounted for. So that was passed, and Senator Stevens and I both worked on that.
Did they go ahead and pick up the hotel motel tax and make it legal? Because it wasn't legal under the 1939 Act, but they were collecting it.
I don't know that popped up yet. I'll have to double check on that and make sure.
I just read that
I don't wanna
overspeak you.
Yeah, misstate.
I just knew
But I can
that
verify that if you need me to.
that was passed back some years ago, and they've been collecting on some people and not on others. But if you look in the Private Act of 39, it's not even addressed.
Okay. I can find out that.
Well, it says appoint a technical lead or contact person. Is that what you were talking about that you usually did, or is it, okay, good deal.
But y'all can point anyway you want, because I don't really want to do it.
We don't wanna set the boat anymore, we just wanna learn how to do the
I
job.
understand
So you
it.
just go right ahead, buddy.
I'm the only person that's done this in the last 20 years for Benton County, so I'm pretty familiar with it.
Who is our technical lead?
He is.
You're the technical lead.
He's the one that goes out and does all the legwork.
Oh, okay, all right, okay.
That's all the questions I have.
Y'all can have that and read through it, and
Okay.
we can discuss it, because we
Yeah,
have a
'cause
little
this is
time.
nothing.
Okay.
We can have a little time. And that's all I really have. I wanted to show y'all what we were doing, though, about list maintenance. Y'all understand what list maintenance is?
That's keeping up the
Address
addresses.
verification.
Right.
Let me see the folder. This isn't something I can make copies of to give anyone. but I want y'all to look through it. It shows you the communications we've had with the state, the list of people who have moved that we will be sending confirmation cards out to from the state. This is something new that they've just started. Normally, under the list maintenance, address verification, we have a computer program we run, and anybody that's not voted in the last 2 federal elections, we put them on inactive and send them a confirmation card. If they send it back to us and say, yes, I'm here and I want to continue to vote, we just go in the computer and take them off of inactive and make them active again. But if they don't, we keep those confirmation cards on file, and in 2 more federal elections, we purge them and send them a letter. So we have already got that list of the people that we're going to be purging from the 2017 cycle.
Can I ask how many that is, Mark? This is from 2017, that's correct?
Yeah, the numbers will.
Several.
90 from 2017 will be purged.
Okay.
From the 2019 the one we run this year, that the way we normally do it, not with the NOAA list from the state, but the way we do it about the elections, there's 1,119 people that didn't vote in the last 2 federal elections. So we'll be sending confirmation cards out to these people and putting them on inactive. We'll activate the ones that send it back to us. The ones that don't, they'll have 2 more federal elections. And when I say activity, either they vote, do a change of address, call us up and say, hey, am I still registered? You can do it online, you can do it just about anywhere now. As long as we have some activity from them, even if they sign a petition in this upcoming election, we will reactivate them, because that's letting us know they're still here. You know what I mean?
Right, and that's how you
So
verify
this is the way we've always done it in the past. 2017, there was a lawsuit. They asked us to not do it. I have the letter for y'all, but that was from 2017. I had to dig it up. But they asked us to not do it from Mark Goins' office in 2017. Of course, we went ahead and run the numbers. We knew who it was. And we waited until 2019 to actually do that.
Okay, why were you asked not to?
It was a lawsuit from the state of Tennessee. The Shelby County or Williamson County had a lawsuit against them that they didn't want anybody purged off of voter rolls for inactivity. So the state held up the whole state, said don't do this in 2017. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't affect anything other than some people stayed on the rolls longer than they should have. They were addressed in 2019, and of course they'll be addressed now in 2021, because they'll be being purged if they didn't update. You can see how many updated though. If they're still here, they're going to either vote or they're going to do something. If they're not here, that's the reason for this, is to get them off our voter rolls. So this is something new that the state's done with this NCOA report. This just shows where somebody that's registered in Benton County has got a new address in another county or state. So what we're going to do with that report is just send a confirmation card to their new address.
And how do you know that they've moved?
I don't know. That's what comes from the state.
That's what comes from the state.
And I'm going to tell you, you have to be kind of careful with what comes from the state. To be honest with you, they run all these numbers. We have to really watch what we do, because that's what happened to me 5 or 6 years ago. I got a list like that from the state.
And this came from the state?
Yeah, of felons, and it said, you have 33 felons in Benton County that are registered to vote. You need to purge these people. I purged them, and then I got sued for purging them because the previous administrator had given them a voter card. You know what I'm saying? They had marked, yes, I'm a felon, but it got processed. It was an oversight. They didn't do it on purpose. But the guy sued us. Well, the state wouldn't back us up on that. They wouldn't give us legal counsel. They wouldn't give us advice. So I'm saying you have to really watch what you're doing with these state reports, because you don't get any support from the state on it. It ended up, I think he was a county commissioner at the time, it ended up costing us $30,000 in settlement plus whatever the lawyer's fees were, because our insurance company wouldn't even cover us with a lawyer.
What was the list, what you call the list? I put it down on the
List maintenance.
List maintenance, okay.
And that's an ongoing problem with county officials enforcing state election law and not providing coverage to county officials enforcing state election laws, and they get sued. The state doesn't wanna provide coverage. That's an ongoing issue. There's a number of jurisdictions been dealing with that. I'm trying to, look, if the county officials are doing state functions for state, they ought to be covered under state liability protection.
That's what I tried, and, tried to get them to.
Everybody's been trying to do that.
And they won't even return your call or
They-
emails whenever you're going through something like that. You're just
Calls.
completely on your own.
Money.
I wanna ask a question, do you have to be bonded? Are you?
I don't know if I'm bonded or not. I tried to get bonded under, Barry Barnett. I did get him to pick up a separate insurance policy for this commission and myself. So we're insured now. If we were to get sued, we'd have insurance to pay for our legal fees, but not a bond. I've never signed a bond.
Okay.
I think we
didn't
should
know.
be.
I didn't know.
And I thought we
was
should be
gonna-
when Barry Barnett was in, and I tried to get y'all to include me with other public officials then under being bonded because of that lawsuit, the way it happened, but never got anywhere with it. But just keep this together, but I want y'all to look at the correspondence and all, if you don't mind. And anytime y'all wanna look at this stuff, you're welcome to come in here and look through it, but that's not something I can really give out. It's ongoing, you can see it's over a pretty good period of time, but we're on schedule to do this like we normally do. We normally do the list maintenance stuff in June and July of even years, because we don't have any elections that year. We keep the list maintenance to do in June and July, and then we start the redistricting right after that.
Is this about average, Mark, or is this high?
Well, that's a new thing here. Those are about average.
But those
This
numbers
is
are-
something new that we haven't received before. It's gonna be redundant, to be honest with you, because those are gonna be the same people that we're sending that 1,000 letters to, because they haven't voted in 2 federal elections. It's the people that's moved. You know what I mean? So it's a
And
redundant
some
deal.
people could be deceased.
They could be deceased, they could have moved to a nursing home, they could, it's a whole bunch of reasons. But they didn't have correspondence with us to tell us, hey, I've moved or anything. But these are people who have registered somewhere else, maybe in another state. So
And so how do you know this? Because the state has notified.
only from that list you're looking at.
Where's the state get
I-
that information?
I only get what they send me, and I don't know.
Do you know where they get it at?
But we've been working hard on that. I know people's been talking, saying that we're not doing our job, but we're up to date on every single thing in this office. We're doing it just the same way as we always have. Never had a problem, never had a complaint. For 12 years, we've been doing it this way, and never, ever has my commission been called because I've been late on anything or haven't done anything. We're up to date just like we always are. Actually, we're ahead of schedule on this.
Okay, so like for instance, I'm not gonna call the name,
Yeah.
okay, like here. Okay, she lived on Mellon Drive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she was here in Camden. So apparently the election commission, the state election
For
commission.
19, she moved to Brewster
Right.
on Cedar Street.
So the state is telling you that they know for a fact, so she'll get a voter registration card from Carroll County, correct? Or if she registers in Carroll County to vote.
If she registered to vote there, you gotta watch the law though, cause it's real tricky and it's very open. If you move somewhere else, you can continue to vote here as long as you have an intent to return. So we can't just purge somebody from that list because they've moved. We have to go through the process of sending them a card and saying, hey, do you wanna stay registered here in Benton County? That's what this card is saying, in so many words. But do you wanna stay registered here, or are you gonna get registered where you're at?
And so you will mail it to the Brewster.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
And
we
we
go
went
ahead and do
we
it.
went above and beyond on list maintenance. The state don't tell us to do this, but I do it just to be safe. I send a letter to them at both addresses. You know what I'm saying? Not from this list, but from that list. If they've moved and it comes back and has a new address where they've moved to, we follow up and send it to the other one. Hold on just a second.
Y'all, we appreciate you being here, but could I get everybody to turn their phone off? Because when it goes off, it makes it hard for everybody else around you to hear. And I know when no PA said it's already hard enough.
This is the returned letters that, after we've gotten so many of them back from 2000 and, I'm sorry, I can't see anything. Yeah, 2019, when we sent them, you see they come back unable to forward, undeliverable, unable to forward, undeliverable. So these are the people that got on inactive and stayed on inactive, and then they're getting purged this year.
Because
So
you
we
don't have
have
a forwarding address.
we have all the documentation of what we've done. The one little thing that Mark Owens had made such a big deal about is that we had numbers in, what was it he was talking about? The numbers on confirmations sent and received were not corresponding. We sent only a few, but we got back a bunch. It wasn't coded properly in the computer by our third-party vendor. So when we mailed all these out, we get our list to mail them to from him. So what he does is he puts it in the computer, prints us up these labels and stuff, and tells us who was put on inactive 2 years ago. You know, a lot of them aren't the same as it was 2 years ago because a lot of them's already corrected it. But the reason it was like that is because when he coded that, it didn't show that a confirmation was sent. It just showed that they was put on inactive. So we're receiving all these confirmations when I get them back, and I'm putting them in the computer. So it's showing that we're receiving confirmations, but it didn't show that we sent them. They were all sent at the same time. You can see that. But the reason we have a few numbers is if I mail someone a voter card and it comes back undeliverable, then I write on that confirmation sent today and put them on inactive.
So you mean like, have you ever had somebody that's came in and registered to vote, and then you send them the voter registration card and it comes back? You've had that?
That's,
Yeah.
you saw the numbers, 1 or 2 every 6 months, 5, some 6 months reports. On those 6 month reports, it showed 1 to 5 or 8 or whatever. You have a few every month or every 6 month period that you'll mail them. They'll register, and then you'll mail it to them, and it'll come back undeliverable. Like the person's not there. And that's the reason you have some confirmations in there showing that we did send them, but the ones that we didn't send was just error from our third-party vendor, Dave Embry. So, I mean, if they had brought that to my attention at the time, we would have called Dave Embry and we could have corrected it. But when you bring something up from 2014 or 15, there's absolutely no way to go back and correct that in the computer.
Okay, so who is Dave? He's Dave Embry.
He's over 80 counties in the state of Tennessee on their data processing. We was with a company called Triad when I first started this, and you can ask anybody that's ever used Triad, it was a nightmare. You ask Matt Jones about doing a 6 month report when we first started this in 2009. It took us 6 months to do the 6 month report, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. Does this Dave Embry, does he do all 95 counties?
It is about 80 counties.
About 80?
Mm-hmm. Everybody switched from Triad to Dave Embry because he's so good at it.
Does he have his own company, or do you
Yeah,
know?
it's Dave Embry Consulting.
Okay,
This is just a glitch and it's not a normal.
I don't know,
part of his-
it's never been brought to my attention before until
But I mean, it's the
y'all got
only
that
issue
letter.
you have with him though, that you've experienced.
I never had an
with this.
issue with him before.
Just this.
You can ask Scott, we've had a couple of things, there's glitches in the program, isn't there?
Yeah, we've had bugs occasionally pop up, but he's quick to respond.
He's amazing, he does a good job, but when you're doing stuff like this, when we send a 6 month report to Nashville, you see the check marks on those. Kathy Summers goes through every one of those and checks them off and puts them in a file. If there's something that's a discrepancy, she's supposed to call us and say, hey, there's a problem here. And she has done that. We have had a couple of them that was a discrepancy, and we've corrected the problem and sent it back to her. But if they're gonna sit on them for 8 years before they say something to us, that's not my fault. I was just explaining that one thing to you. We'll do all that on the 14th, but I want y'all to know we're doing our job. We have proof of it.
And some of those, I know a lot of times, I know the postman, you know, will try and deliver it, you know, several times, you know, or
Mhm.
maybe there's not a mail receptacle. So those are stamped like the date that
Yeah.
you got them back.
Yeah.
You know, and so
Yeah.
you enter that in the computer,
We
right?
have to by law.
Right.
No, I don't enter this in the computer.
I mean, you enter the date that you received it back.
Not this.
Okay.
I enter the ones that I get back that are confirmed by the person that they're still there.
So you don't enter those in the
No,
computer?
we don't deal with this until 2 years later.
2 years later,
Yep.
and then you purge them.
Yeah, we purge them, and I send them a letter. You know, I'm not required to by law, but I send another one. The law don't require you to because the person didn't respond to the first one. They're probably not gonna respond 2 years later. But we go above and beyond our duty here and do it, even though it's aggravating to stuff 1,000 envelopes when you're getting ready to do redistricting. But we do it, and we always have, so.
Do you have an example of the letter that you sent?
You can open that one if you want to.
Oh, well, I mean, just tell me, what it says, I'd rather.
It just says that you didn't respond to anything and you're gonna be purged if you don't let us know that you're still there. If you wanna continue to vote, fill this form back out and send it to us, and you'll still be on the voters' roll as active. Otherwise, you're gonna be inactive for 2 more federal elections, and then you will be purged.
Okay,
That's just what you said.
Yep.
okay, all right.
You're doing all this stuff with you.
I am.
So each time you do that, you have a box that just
Yeah.
that.
And you know, we have time frames of, what's that form called, Scott? The time frames of how we keep stuff?
Retention schedule.
Yeah, we have a retention schedule for everything in this office, coming down from ballots, signatures, applications, this stuff. And like the provisionals they're talking about in 2018, I can't even get a copy of the letters from the state because it's past the retention schedule. You can't be sued on those now, so we've already destroyed that stuff. And we requested a copy from the state to see if they have it. But when you're going back to 2018, 3 years ago, even in their own retention schedule, we're not even supposed to keep that stuff in office, because if you get so much stuff, you have to make room for the next election that matters. The reason you keep this stuff in case there's a lawsuit. And after that election's past that time for a lawsuit, there's no reason to keep most of it. There's certain things. I'll get you a copy of.
There's a list maintenance letter from 2019.
Okay, and
The date's updated, but
you can, that's what we sent in 2019.
Thank you.
You make them a copy of the retention schedule just so they know what we do keep in the office and what we don't.
sure.
The long-term stuff's mainly the results of the elections, but there's other things that's forever too, like the minutes of these meetings and stuff. That's my confirmation cards. These are the original ones we send out first. The letters just to follow up. That's how it goes out officially, when they first get there.
Thank you.
Did you want to see this, Janet?
She did, I let her see it first.
Thanks.
I can go download it, Mark, or we got that original one in the file cabinet. I don't have it saved on this, so.
Oh, it's okay. I think they understand the process.
Oh.
We stick the label on, put a stamp on our side, fold it over, and put 4 pieces of tape, 2 on each side and 2 on top. And then all they have to do is cut the tape or peel those perforated edges off, flip it over, and they don't even have to spin the stamp. They just fill it out, flip it over, tape it back, and put it in the mailbox. So we make it easy for them. These confirmation notices and list maintenance are the reason for provisionals, though. Every time. Somebody comes in that didn't respond to our letters, didn't do anything, and then they come in to vote and they're not in our system because we purged them. Then they say, no, I'm registered, I've got a card. Well, you didn't respond to 2 or 3 pieces of mail over a 4 or 5 year period, so you've been purged.
And the last time they voted was a year ago.
Yeah, that's wherever provisional comes from.
Okay, where is your storage, like archives? I mean, what,
I can show y'all after the meeting, if that's okay.
Okay, but you don't really have a lot of storage in here, do you?
Yeah, we got a lot more than they had before. We've put in shelves and everything to keep the storage.
So how many years of records can you actually store?
And the way we rotate it out, you can go forever. Because you're purging, there's y'all's retention schedules. That shows you what we're having to store and what's long-term and what's not. But you're getting rid of the main bulk of all the applications and ballots and stuff every 2 to 4 years, so those things are getting destroyed to make room for the next election that's coming up.
And how do you store them? Do you have somebody come in and shred them?
We can send them to the shred truck, or we can burn them, but you don't want to throw them in the dump.
Right,
Because it has,
absolutely.
yeah. It'd be y'all's choice how you wanna handle that. I've always burnt them.
Gets pretty crowded in there after an election year.
Yeah, especially one like this past year. You have 3 to 4 of these bigger boxes than this for each election of just the ballots and ballot stubs and applications.
And is there a requirement, like, how long you have to keep them? For just 2 years?
There's a requirement for every document that's in this office. That's what
Yeah.
we've printed there for you. I have to hand it to Scott on that. He stays on top of it, and he keeps my boxes labeled for when it's supposed to be destroyed. See, this one could already be destroyed, but I didn't because of the lawsuit or the hearing or whatever this is.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll make y'all a copy of this. This is very interesting in how.
You'll make them all 3 copies? Or you did?
No, I will.
The old ballots, keep for 22 months and then destroy.
Yeah, you can't keep all that stuff any longer than that. You can't have a lawsuit after 22 months after an election.
Oh, okay.
So there's no reason to keep them after that. Nobody can, question it. That's my report. After we adjourn, I'll show y'all all the office and storage and whatever you want to see.
Okay, and the quarterly report that we need to do.
Oh yeah, is that next on the agenda?
It is.
It is.
You need a motion to accept his report as he's presented.
The form explains itself. Y'all just fill this top part out, and if you find any deficient, you have to mark them and then sign here. Democrats will sign there, and this state does that when they receive it. So you have one form here. You can count as many as you want. It says,
How many do you have?
I don't know, but it says y'all only have to check 10% of them. So you check what you want. Normally, at every meeting that we've ever had with these, you have a Democrat and a Republican to pair up and to look at these together, and then y'all sign off. So y'all do it however y'all feel comfortable with it. Check as many as you want. There's you maximum of 200. So there's more than that here. This is since the last time they checked them.
Okay, they checked them in March. I believe I called Monday. You told me March the 9th, or
It's around.
somewhere in there. Okay. Alright, what do you want to do? You want me to
And by the way,
divide these?
that's a whole lot less than normal. Because
Okay.
when you're going into an election, you'll have 700 to 800 of them in 30 days or 60 days before an election, especially a presidential election. So that's why they say you only have to check 10% of them, but
Do you want
you're
me
welcome to look
divide
at all
these
of them.
up?
Yeah.
Oh, y'all need to know what you're checking, don't you?
Yes, sir.
The main things is you gotta have a social. You have to have a birthday, address, signature, and they have to have marked, no, they're not a felon. Of course, yes on the other ones.
What about this signature,
A complete address.
Mm-hmm.
Mark?
Huh?
What is this, signature of person is listed?
If they're not able to sign, if they mark an X, they have to have somebody to assist them to prove that's who they were.
Do you have very many of those?
We have only a few, but yes, we've had some.
Like at the nursing home
Mhm.
or?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have them every time at the nursing home when we go vote. So you want to check some of these, Ben?
Absolutely.
That was the fun part, right?
Absolutely.
You see where all these people are moving to Benton County from. I think it's amazing sometimes that we have so many moving in here and you never even see them or know them.
Like that sign that I saw one time that says you never see anybody moving up north.
That's all that.
Yeah.
It's true, isn't it?
these different?
Why are some of them tied?
Why do we have 8 different forms in the state of Tennessee? It's something that I've been talking to the State Election Commission about ever since 2009. I can't get them to get a uniform, and you talk about it's hard for y'all to check on because you're looking for your social and birth date and everything in a different place where they mark the declarations, whether they're a felon or not. But y'all need to talk to the state office about that. We've
Okay.
complained about it ever since.
Okay,
We
so
actually-
why is there a difference in forms? What,
There's a difference in forms because the state won't make a uniform form.
okay, so some of these.
Those are from OVR, which is online
Online
voter
voting.
registration.
Okay, so that's the
That's
difference.
got the information from their driver's license on here, and then it requires them to fill out these things and sign it.
That's like I did when I moved to the new
Yeah.
house, that's got.
Yeah, the online, DHS, in person at the DMV, health department. I mean, there's so many different places you can register to vote, but they won't make a uniform form. It's not that hard checking them, but when you're typing that stuff in on every single one of these, it's very aggravating to have to look for something in a different spot.
So when they register online, how do you know when they've registered online?
The state sends it to us on a daily basis.
Right.
We download it, and it comes, we have to download it from the computer in the, at the state to the back computer. We have to turn the internet service off and download it from the back computer to the front computer, and then I sit there at the desk and download them all and print them out, and.
But you don't have to sign on here anywhere. And so this is the day that you received it?
No, it's the day they filled it out,
That's the day they filled it out?
and that's the day that I did it.
Where's the day that you did it?
I don't know, my glasses.
On this one, it's a copy, but, right in the corner.
You did.
Okay, so right there, this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Debbie, where did you see the day that he did?
Top
Right down
right.
there, the day that they did it.
Do you wanna mention that letter that we sent to the stage?
See, that was totally
Any
different.
uniform?
You gonna print it?
Sure.
While they're checking
This
these,
is the
they'll
day
have
they did
time.
it, and then this is,
Five,
this is
three,
Mark's signatures here, and then right here, he's got.
I see where Mark is.
My signature's the initials on the very top,
But is this down here the date they filled it out to?
online.
Chairman,
This
will
one
you be mindful
that
of
one
how you
online?
point that, because there's a whole bunch of cameras with a very sensitive information on it.
Yeah, those have socials and also, we don't need to let that go out.
So I'm just saying,
I
be
appreciate
mindful
you
where your
saying.
cameras
Absolutely
are.
not.
What you asking?
If they can read that card,
This.
is this the date that they turned it in?
Is that an online voter registration?
That.
On an online voter registration, it'll be printed. Yeah, 5/13/21. And I processed it on 5/27/21.
Mark, it doesn't matter if they don't have the last voter registration address.
That's something that we've been, did we address that?
That was in this letter also.
I want y'all to read this letter that the previous commission has sent the state. We've done it more than once, but you're addressing all your concerns the same as the previous administration.
Thank you.
I'm talking about the previous commissioners that was here last month, or a month before. They would charge me with sending letters like this to the state to try to get everything uniform and to answer the same questions that you're having. Y'all have only checked 10 of them, and you already have the same questions that we've had since 2009 with no resolution.
And so no response, at all?
None.
So,
If I can help on any of that, please feel free to reach out, and I'll reach out to the Secretary of State and the State Election Commission
completed in what
members and
regard?
try to
have the
push
last
that,
voter registration.
It's not
any
required
issues
by
you
law.
guys have, I'll be happy to try to help.
That's why we sent that letter, yeah.
That's why I was asking, so we
It's
keep
not
that.
been required by law. It's just something that if people wanna put it in, they can. It should be mandatory. We've said it all along, but it's not.
other one 200, he's owed it 200.
You said we needed to do 10%, and we have no idea how many this is, correct?
I don't know how many that is. It's everyone that I've processed since the last time. Y'all can do, there's probably, looking at a bolt of paper, there's 500 in a bolt of paper, so you're looking at about 200 or 250 there. So you need to do at least 10% of them. Whatever y'all feel comfortable with it.
Each one you do 35 if I have it covered.
I'm sure we do it right, that's the good thing.
Okay, so, I have a question. I see on one of these where somebody marked that they were convicted felon. Okay, so if they mark yes, they're a convicted felon, tell us the process of.
If somebody marks that they're a convicted felon, before we can register them to vote, we send them a packet, and that shows what they have to get signed off by the court that they were convicted in. They bring that back to us, signed by the proper people. There's 4 lines that have to be checked off on that. If they're through with probation, if they've made restitution, and if they actually, the felony that they got, if they can get their rights restored from that felony, because there's some that you can't. They get that filled out by the courts. I send it to the state of Tennessee. They verify that the right people signed it, and then they send me a letter back and say it's okay to go ahead and register this person to vote. So when we send them a card, we send them a copy of that letter, and we tell them always mark yes, I have been convicted of a felony, but present that letter with that, even if it's just an address change, or if they're going to another county, it's still valid. So they don't have to do it again, but they need to keep a copy of that letter, and then we keep one on file in a folder here also.
Okay, alright.
Did you have one?
Yes, I just heard that he marked how much yes.
Okay, so when you find one like that, then what do we need to do then?
I've already
You already
processed
prepared.
everything, yeah.
Right,
You're
that's
just
why I wanted
double
to
checking
ask
me
him.
is what you're doing.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask him the
Yeah.
process because y'all might come across one.
This whole checking that you are doing came from the 2008 administration before, and that felony that we were talking about. So everybody in the whole state has to do these now every quarter to double check and make sure nothing like that's happened.
Why do we have 2 of the same name?
You have all kinds of repetition ones in there. They fill them out at the Department of Safety, they fill them out online, they fill them out in person. I guess thinking that maybe they'd get them, I don't know. A lot of people at the public assistance think they have to fill them out to get assistance and things, so they do it every time they go. We get lots more duplicates than we get new registrations. Y'all don't see all the things we process, you just see mainly the new registrations.
But you've got a process that differently, just like.
I do, yeah. And we send them a card that says replacement card. Y'all, I don't know how cool it is that we're going live with this, but some people from other counties just texted me and said, y'all are free to call any of the commissioners in the other counties and ask them their procedures and how they handle this.
Okay, Mark, I have a question.
Okay.
Got one here that you signed. You signed off, looks like 11/4/99, but their date was 5/19/21.
I have to see it. Do it. Oh, this is not a new registration. If you notice, the registration number is a lot lower than the new registration number. Start was 136 now, 136,000. It's a 123. Those people were purged. I had to bring them back from archives and put them in the system, and that's just their original registration date. That's what prints out. If I normally don't give y'all all those. That's just one that I got by me. But that's one that was archived and purged, and then I guess they moved back to Camden, and we keep them in the archives, so we just bring that back and it
So
shows
even though they
their.
were purged, are you saying they were purged in 99?
No, that's when they originally registered.
Oh, okay.
If you look at all the other ones that are in there, there's a whole bunch of those.
This is some entertaining television right here.
Isn't it though? Are you gonna record it and watch it later?
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch it later. I'll lift it.
I bet it's exciting just watching paint dry. Gotta be done.
What's sad is our county commission meetings have more of a following than the late night news.
It's true, isn't it? Yeah.
More citizens watch that than the regular television.
I believe a lot more people are watching the Facebook thing, live things, more than any television news.
Yep.
It's more real. And don't have their spin on it.
Exactly. Missed that. Not that
Well, it's amazing how many people move to other states.
It's amazing, isn't it?
California, Utah, Illinois.
Yep, Pennsylvania, New York.
And they're all going to be standing.
I know it, that's what I say, big sandy lines are gonna have to be redrawn, we've got a lot more people down there. They're not moving into the 5th and 3rd district here in Camden, they're moving to that way, so that'll be the biggest change in this redistricting.
So we're going for years, God's coming down.
Yeah, you've always said that, hadn't you?
I just make them another county down there.
Geographical size.
Maybe they'll make them another county down there.
Yes. It'll make the 2nd and 4th larger.
Do you have it?
You all have to guesstimate how many you did, but as long as it's 10% of,
Well, I mean, we did all of them, so.
just put 199 then, cause there's over 200 in there. They don't want a number over 200 on there for some reason.
You fill it out, I'll sign my part. That's in my handwriting.
You've
I
seen
keep
your
those.
you've seen your handwriting?
Yeah, I keep those separate, cause it's got everybody's. This is just a copy that I made for that, retain those in these bottom drawers. Is that all of them? Yes.
She's going way out west, it needs to be done.
Nothing except, if he wants to show us where
Oh,
he
yeah,
keeps
want
his
to see that, but I don't
archives.
think there's anything.
Y'all can
legal-wise
adjourn
that
for
we
the
can-
crowd and I'll show y'all that stuff.
Okay.
It won't be official anyway, it's just.
Then, once we get the retention schedule for you.
The meeting,
Once we get the Democrat, then look at the boxes.
Okay.
You put out the boxes and stuff.
I guess I've missed this.
Yeah.
I don't want to bother them without their having
Haven't I?
Democrats present.
What'd you do?
Public meeting held on at 5:27, time on,
Held at, would be the time and then the date, but you, here I got your number. Quit wasting paper, dude.
This is trees. So I put ag election officer, right?
Election commission officer is what you
You know all about that.
all black.
Because they're close to the sea level.
Apparently.
That's funny.
Did y'all find any that was missing any information? The citizenship question, I didn't see all of them that I saw, checked, all of them I saw, state of birth. Okay, so Mark, since, so you didn't know.
One question I have with that.
Yeah.
The one,
You
the
just
one I had is the felon.
put 0 right there is all you have to do, and then I'll sign I have to sign that report.
I thought this was, total number of new registrations.
Oh, yeah, that's the total number.
199, right?
The fish was 0. And then I'll have to sign off on what y'all did. That y'all checked it, so I'll have to sign. You guess it every time, huh? Seriously. That's funny. That's sad. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Father,